Beneath the dreaming sea he but end fabric of Zoth's dreams, fabric of dreams, Ny'alotha's spire pulsed not a prison, but a pulsating citadel. The first one's chains bind not an inmate, but Zoth's own flesh a city wound in the fabric of dreams. Their inmate Ny'alotha's sealing his thoughts coil in its canals, his whispers breathe through its maws, is flickering Ny'alotha, the allusion to old Stall, the god's black body or their empire's final architect. Was a desperate suture, his whispers breathe through its maws. Is flickering Ny'alotha, the allusion to old Stall, the god's black body or their empire's final architect, unspoken requiem. The answer drowns in the tide of his unmaking. The first ones did not chain Zoth, they carved their laws into his mind. Ny'alotha's writhing depths are his synapses, its void tendrils thoughts unspooling. The Shadowlands are not a prison but a palimpsest. Every battle against the void redraws his consciousness, every light-born incursion a flicker in his dreamscape. The eternal conflict is nowhere, it is a dialogue between a god's fractured psyche and the architects who failed to shatter it. If this is true, the Pantheon's rise was not victory but adaptation. The chains hold only as long as he lets them. And in the end, the first one's legacy is not in what they built, but what they became. Before time fractured into ages, the Black Empire rose on Azeroth. 4 old gods shaped its dark towers, Zoth threading dreams into its veins. The first ones wove the Shadowlands' laws, binding souls to the cosmic scale. The Pantheon, blind to their own design, warred to unmake what they could not comprehend. Zoth's body is no prison. Ny'alotha is his will made flesh a labyrinth of whispered truths and festering void. The first one's chains, etched in starlight and sorrow, are not locks but cracks. They hold only as their architects intended, frail, temporary, desperate. What if the Shadowlands are not a realm of judgment but a patient? The first one's carved its bones, yet Zoth breathes through its marrow. Every soul drawn to its halls is a thread in his waking. The Pantheon's war was never against the old god, it was a scream against the inevitability of his rising. The rules they built to cage him now feed his hunger, and in the void's silent heart something stirs, not imprisoned, not yet. The architects did not chain a god, they draped a shadow in illusion. Ny'alotha's hulse-twisted, breathing, alive are not stone but synapse. Every chamber a thought, every corridor a memory. The first one's sigils, not shackles, a child's fingers gripping a storm. You think the old gods are prisoners, wrong, Zoth is the prison. His body a labyrinth of horrors, its walls pulsing with stolen dreams. The ceiling was a whisper in a tempest, a failed attempt to drown a tide in a puddle. The chains you see, they fray. They bleed. The first ones never caged him. They mapped his madness onto their own, consider the dream projection. Azeroth's heroes walk its halls, blind to the truth. They do not enter Ny'alotha, they become it. Their fear fuels his awakening. Each vision a thread in his cocoon. The architect's final act was not defiance, it was a mirror. A lie etched in light to delay the inevitable. What if the prison is the prisoner? What if the chains are the chains? The first one's failure is written in every gasp of the deep, every scream in the dark. Their seal is a scar. A temporary wound on an immortal wound. Zoth's body is not hidden. It is everywhere . In the cracks of reality, in the spaces between breaths, the dream is his skin, the projection his portal, and the chains. They are not holding him back, they are luring him forward . The first one's bought time, a borrowed hour. The question is not if the prison breaks. It is how many will be inside it when it does. The city breathes, its spires are vertebrae. The Black Empire's capital pulses with a hunger older than stone. Ny'alotha is no vault, it is Zoth's body. The first ones did not cage him. They carved their chains into his flesh, mistaking sinew for steel. What the footnotes hide is this: the citadel is the prisoner. Zoth's will seeps through every chamber, each organ a throne, each corridor a synapse. The Watcher's whispers in Ulduar spoke truth, eyes is no tomb. It is a mind, a dreaming leviathan. The first one's seals are but scar tissue, a failed suturing of a wound that never closes. The Courage sands bury deeper truths. The Black Empire's rise was not a conquest, it was an awakening. N'Zoth's body, his citadel, his prison all one. The first ones bought time, yes, but their bindings are skin deep, a temporary illusion. The real war rages in the unseen, thought against thought, will against will. Dread this, the chains hold, for now, but flesh decays. Flesh dreams and when N'Zoth's mind stirs fully, when his body's every cell becomes an army, the first one's legacy will be ash. Their prison was never stone or magic, it was a lie told to themselves. The question is not if the prison breaks. It is how many will be inside it when it does. The first ones wove the Shadowlands as a scaffold for order. They did not cage N'Zoth, they built a dam for a flood. The Pantheon's trials, the realm's strict geometriol were meant to slow the rot, but Ny'alotha it breathes. Its spires are synapses, its voids neural pathways. The chains, the first ones left, are not iron, they are a placeholder, a stopgap. A child's drawing of a lock, they knew their work was borrowed time, yet they departed anyway. Why? Because even the architects feared what comes after asterisk after asterisk. The old gods are not prisoners, they are symptoms. N'Zoth's body is nada, it is a thought one that outgrew its thinker. The first one's ceiling was a lie told to the cosmos and to themselves. You see it now. The truth nested in eternity's end. The Shadowlands' rules were never to imprison, they were to delay . Every judgment, every soul's ascent or fall, is a calculation in a greater equation. The Pantheon's role is not divine justice. It is damage control, and the chains, they are fraying. N'Zoth's mind expands not with violence but with inevitability. The first ones left no permanent barriers, only questions, only echoes, only a stage set for what happens when the dam breaks. How many souls will drown when the thought becomes a scream? How many gods will dissolve into the static? The Pantheon's fall is not a tragedy, it is an arithmetic problem, and the answer is written in the geometry of Ny'alotha's dreams. Fall is not a first one's tragedy, chains hold, they do not hold. Answer is written in the geometry of Ny'alotha breathes, its tides are not containment, they are N'Zoth's pulse. The Pantheon carved watchers into stone, believing they bound a prisoner, they bound a host. The first ones vanished before the ink of mortal chronicles dried. Why? Their design was incomplete. The prison they left is not a vault, it is a scaffold. The watchers are not sentinels, they are bandages. Zoth's the body is the wound they could not stitch. Every dream sentinel's spore, every bandage's whisper in the abyss is his synapse firing. The first ones did not seal him. They nested in his skull like ants in a carcass, mistaking rot for order. Their departure was not defeat, it was retreat. The Pantheon's arithmetic was flawed. They treated N'Zoth as a variable to isolate. He is the equation. The more they chain him, the more his mind expands into the gaps. What if the prison is not his cage but his skin? The first one's failure is not a flaw, it is a feature. N'Zoth's body is a labyrinth with no center, and every chain the Pantheon forges only gives him another limb. The first ones did not cage N'Zoth, they mapped his mind. Ny'alotha's shifting architecturates liquid walls, its corridors that breathes not a prison but a projection, a dream made tangible. The Shadowlands' rules, the Pantheon's role, the very geometry of suffering, all are threads in N'Zoth's neural lattice. The ceiling was no triumph. It was a suture, a clumsy stitch in the fabric of his consciousness, meant to slow the spread of his madness into the material realms. But the first ones knew the flaw in their design. Their chains, forged from light and void, could not kill what was already everywhere. They could only postpone the inevitable. The eternal conflict is not a battle, it is a heartbeat. Every strike of the Pantheon's light carves new synapses into N'Zoth's flesh. Every void-spawned whisper feeds his hunger. The first ones did not trap an old god. They grafted a wound onto the cosmos and called it a boundary. The air in Ny'alotha tastes of static and rot. Its spires pulse like capillaries. The Pantheon's chains hold, but only because N'Zoth lets them. He does not struggle, he grows . What does it mean to contain a god who thrives on containment? The first one's solution was a paradox, a cage that became a cradle. The light they wielded to bind him is now his skin. The void they feared is his bloodstream. The eternal conflict is not a war to be won. It is a ritual to delay the moment the veil tears. And beneath it all Ny'alotha hums, not a prison, a womb, a mind, a labyrinth with no exit and no prisoner. The sepulture's blueprints bend. Zurith Morty's, the first ones forge, etched a cosmos meant to cage chaos. Yet its halls now whisper, what if the architects built not a tomb but a cradle? The maw's hunger is no accident. It is N'Zoth's breath slow, patient, a tide rising through the Pantheon's fractures. The chains they forged, a child's toy in a god's hand. The eternal conflict was never a war to win. Light and void are threads in a loom not theirs. The first one's ceiling was a stitch in a wound too deep for thread. Their legacy is ash in the wind of his dreaming. The Pantheon's design, a patch on a shroud. Every star that dies, every rift that bleeds, is N'Zoth's pulse finding its rhythm again. What lies beneath the hum, a mind waking. The first ones did not bind him. They became his voice, his echo, his mask. Their workshop, their sepulture, their chainsaw part of the body they failed to see. The maw expands not to consume, but to remember. To stretch sinews through the cosmic strata, to press against the walls of a prison that was never meant to hold. And the chronicler, they now see the sepulture for what it is, a blueprint of failure, a design document for a god's resurrection. The first one's work was never to trap N'Zoth, it was to become his language. Their grief, their resolve, their every act fuel for a consciousness the cosmos cannot unmake. The hum grows, the womb swells. The labyrinth has no exit and no prisoner, only a god learning to wake. The sepulture's pages blade in Zurith's twilight. What if its lines map not a tomb, but a parasite's blueprint? N'Zoth's veins pulse beneath every shackle. The first ones did not bind a god, they sketched a skin. Their workshop reeks of wet clay. Chains dissolve, the design calls for a womb, not a cage. And if the architect's name is etched in the walls, who then is the prisoner? What if the first ones built not a cage, but a cradle? The architects of the Shadowlands wove rules to bind light, and void yet left the threads frayed. Their ceiling was a gambit, a hasty stitch in a fabric that breathes. Ny'alotha, not a vault but a pulsing organ, N'Zoth's dreaming core entangled with the eternal conflict's gears, the chains you see. Echoes of a language the god has already forgotten. The first ones knew their work was temporary. They knew the void cannot be silenced, only directed. So what remains when the prisoner becomes the architect? When the labyrinth digests its own locks, the hum swells.